Hello, Internet! Welcome to Two and a Half Brains. This is our amazing race recap for the Amazing Race season 34, episodes 3 and 4. I'm going to break it all down, talk all about the Mega Leg, and tell you what happened and do our power rankings. Obviously, talk about the different roadblocks and detours and all that stuff. And with the Mega Leg, we got our partners here on the race who are bickering, Bailey and Selena. They would not do well in the Amazing Race. They bicker way too much. They go at it like cats and dogs, almost, if you will. But let's go ahead and bring in my co-host of the show, and actually probably more the host of the show than me. Let's go ahead and bring in Jessica. We might also have appearances by Bailey and maybe even Selena. We'll see. But go ahead and welcome in Jessica. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Oh, hello. Thank you. Thank you for welcoming me.
So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. If you like our Facebook page, it's Pavement Road Prod, Facebook.com/Pavement Road Prod, Pavement Road Productions on Facebook. You can also email the show directly, pavementproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe right there on the YouTube channel so you get everything as well. So, this was the Mega Leg, Jessica.
Yes, Mega Legs.
All right. Well, why don't you take it from here? Tell me what you think of the episode, and you start off. Go ahead.
My initial thoughts.
Sure, if you will.
So, it was a good episode. I always want to go to Italy, so it's exciting to see them traveling around Italy and doing all the things. A little bit shocking in how people are placing and like getting behind. This is the first episode that we've kind of seen people that were doing well kind of fall behind a little bit more. So that was, not something we expected to see. What did you think about the episode?
Yeah, it was fun. They did obviously, I love Italy. I wanted to go there, definitely. And like you said, it was a Mega Leg, so I knew there'd be a couple of these, kind of continuation legs or whatever. They had, they started off, and some of the teams got behind early, the other teams got ahead, and then it was kind of, well, this team ahead is going to stay ahead, who's behind going to be able to catch up. But yeah, two cities and basically 2 episodes of race. So it was fun. We'll talk all about it, and we can get in the details.
Dive on in.
If you will.
Let's dive on in.
All
Okay.
right.
So I have it separated by location. So the first location they were in was Bologna. Bologna.
Mm-hmm. Bologna, yeah.
Yep. Starting off with the detour. Cheese wheel B. Wow. My typing's great. Cheese wheel versus medical class. So cheese wheel was you had to go pick up a giant wheel of cheese, which I estimated in US dollars, maybe about $100 for the whole wheel of cheese, probably more. Or no, $1,000, not $100,000 for the whole thing. But you pick up your cheese wheel, you take it to the person to split it in half, and then you would deliver it to 2 different restaurants to get your, next clue for the next location, if you will, the roadblock. Yep. And then medical class was when they had to go attend a class being presented by a professor, I suppose, on bones and organs of the human body. And then later you had to go fill out a puzzle piece-ish, if you will, and label the different bones, the different organs in 1 minute and 30 seconds. And if you failed, you had to go retake the class and then do it all over again.
Yep, and it said the class it was only like 8 minutes, so it didn't take that long to do the whole class. But
some people aren't good at learning though, like that.
Yeah, and like I said, it's puzzles and how to do it quickly. That was it might have been the more challenging part was flipping over all the pieces and getting them all in the right order.
Well, especially because there were extras, so you had to really pay attention and know what they were and decipher from the extras that were included.
For sure. The cheese cutting one, obviously.
Brute strength.
Yeah.
Cutting the cheese.
Yeah,
it was smelly, but it was Parmesan, so.
Yeah, it was 85 pounds, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like 85 pounds, so it's like, I was trying to determine at our store what it is per pound almost, and it's like about $1,000 for a whole cheese wheel.
It's crazy. And I think they said that obviously had the only really difficult part of that one was obviously, there's a strength part of it, which is whatever, but you had a little cart you could push it on. But it was kind of finding the locations, right. And that's kind of the navigating can sometimes be difficult.
Right. The teams that did it, though, made it look so easy. Mm-hmm. Like, it didn't seem that hard to find the places because it seemed like it was close. It's just the signs were pretty tiny, so you had to be looking around.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm just thinking of that logistically, if I'm having somebody take a big wheel of cheese, I'm not gonna have them go all over the freaking city and ruin the cheese.
Well, right, and you have to think about it that way. Not exactly just making the people go far. It's you can't ruin the cheese. Too expensive.
Exactly.
Which one would you have done?
I would probably done the anatomy one because I know that stuff pretty well. I always say do the straightforward one, but if there's something and you can kind of handle, especially if I had to take it once or twice, I would have had it for sure.
I think between us, we would have been fine. I took medical classes when I did coding, so that one wouldn't have been too bad. I could have named a bunch even by watching it, right? The ileum is the small intestines. I know this stuff.
Yeah, and the tibia, fibula, all that stuff. Tibia, fibula, all that stuff. But again, I always say do the straightforward ones, the physical ones if you can, because they're usually more straightforward. That have a be thinking. Because thinking is not my strength. But I would think I would have done the anatomy one because it seemed easier.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyways,
next is the roadblock, which was the Ducatis. So everybody had to go, and one person from each team had to go not build the whole thing, but they had to put the wheel on, they had to put the brakes on, get it checked, and then they had to put the body of it on and get it checked before they could get their clue for the extension of the Omega leg.
Yep, for the Ducati motorcycles. Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, in this episode, though, a little surprising where Glenda and Bamba, they placed, and they were pretty much at the bottom at the end of this episode. They were last team there.
Yeah, if this was a Mega Leg, they would have been eliminated for sure.
Yeah.
The problem is, I think they didn't read their clue, which is a huge problem. They start running to the location that was really, really far away. And they got lost because it was really far away, and that's like it said drive yourself.
Yeah,
and
so they told you it was far.
Right.
Just by that.
Right. So they had to go back to their car, and then once they got their car, they for the most part did decently well, but they were so far behind, and then the team that was just ahead of them actually got there and got done quicker than they did too. So they were in big trouble going into the second half of the episode 4.
Yeah. Plus, it was, I guess, feel bad for Claire that every time she decides to do a roadblock, she's just struggling, and then they're later, and they're leaving a lot later than when they got there most of the time.
Yeah, she struggles for sure.
Yeah. But anything else you want to talk about on the first part of this episode?
Nope, that's pretty much it.
All right, well, let's go on to the second half or second episode of this Mega Leg. Was in Florence, Italy. And that was also beautiful. Nice to see different parts of Italy that I haven't really thought about going to, but, know about whatnot. So in this one, it started with the roadblock this time, and it was who wants to get chiseled? I do. I love how when everybody reads it, they usually say that, but it's like, I want to get chiseled. Why not?
Yeah. Chiseled pecs.
So everybody had to walk in, and it was just basically a block of, you're assuming marble, but they had to chisel into it and reveal the statue that was already carved into there. It was basically plaster around the statue. They had to carve into it and make it as perfect as possible before they can move on. A lot of people struggled. A lot of people went in thinking, I have to carve this. No, not happening.
Yeah, it's like, they have tasks that are, difficult, but it's the Amazing Race. They're not going to have random people go sculpt something that was sculpted by a freaking professional sculptor.
Michelangelo.
Right. It's just like, you gotta know there's going to be there's going to be more to it, right? Like when there's a puzzle, whatever, or so they had to paint this, last season they had to paint this thing, the Buffalo Cops couldn't do it.
Oh, yeah, no, and they had to put the pieces, and they had to glue it onto the wall, but they didn't think, it's probably in a pattern. They just literally glued everything to the wall.
Right.
Yeah. It's never that simple.
Yeah, but it's also not that insanely complicated where you have to be a professional sculptor to be able to do it.
Right. Like, I forgot her name.
Dom.
Dom, yes. Dom getting very, exactly. I mean, she was just ready to quit within 5 seconds, which was a little bit ridiculous. But
for a motivational speaker.
Right. We'll talk about that more after. So that one was fine. I feel like most people that got there kind of left in the same order almost. Michael and Marcus showed up at the same time as Emily and Molly, and they kind of left around the same time and whatnot. But that was an interesting one. So moving on to the detour, it was I for fashion versus window of opportunity. So I for fashion, which we've seen stuff like this in other episodes and other seasons where you had to go to 3 different locations, memorize the outfit of the people that were in the photo shoot, and then go put the pictures in order inside of like the fashion book. But you had to pay attention to the background, which not everybody thought about doing. And then some of the outfits, if you notice, were kind of clashing or similar to each other, so you really had to pay attention to what was going on and what they were wearing. And then window of opportunity, which they made sound so much more difficult than what it actually was, but I took notes on it. It was, they had to find 3 windows, and it was out of 150 windows, to pick up soup, meats, and biscotti and take it to people down by, it was like the river or something, for them to have.
Same spot as the book was.
Same spot as the book was, yeah. We noticed that towards the end of it when they were sitting there. But I mean, when they said 3 out of 150, I figured they had to guess which 3 out of 150. But I guess they, had it on there which ones they had to go to, pick up the stuff, don't spill or drop anything, deliver it to them, and then they got the information for the pit stop.
Yeah.
As we all know, Dom and
Rich,
got to the chiseling one late, so it got pretty dark out once they were getting towards the end when they decided to do that I for fashion. And I don't know if it was pretty even or whatnot for it, but more people, I think, did I for fashion than they did the actual window of opportunity.
Yeah, I kind of thinking about it that way. I don't really know. I feel like I would have been terrified to go through the whole city trying to find these 3 windows, but it seemed pretty straightforward. And like I said, if they had like, here's where we're gonna go, we're gonna find these on these locations, these streets. If you can navigate, okay, you could find it pretty easily and get it done. Because it seemed like the hardest part was not really necessarily finding it, but it was carrying everything and not dropping it.
Right. I mean, pretty much everybody, like, it seems so easy, and for a directional kind of thing, everybody got it done pretty quickly.
Yeah, it didn't seem like anybody got too lost or whatever. I mean, it was maybe a little more walking because the other one seemed like it was a little closer together, but.
Right. It was interesting, though, because they mentioned how that was used, like, a long time ago in Italy for people to deliver stuff without coming into contact, and they used it during COVID, which was interesting to hear about, which I kind of guessed that before they had said it there.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said. You said this would probably be nice now, with COVID, people could deliver their food and not have to actually see somebody, because basically they just put the food in a little door and then they close the door and you open the door and grab it out.
COVID, or you just don't want to see somebody.
Or
just
that too.
Take it, leave me alone.
Exactly. So, I don't know. I said that I feel like that one would have scared me at first, but I think that one was definitely the easier one.
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, I can kind of memorize stuff for the most part, but I don't know if I would have gotten all that first time.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
All right. Anything else on the detour decision?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, moving on to our next portion. Who got eliminated?
Yeah, who got eliminated, Jessica?
Dom and Rich.
So, I wanted them to stick around a little bit longer because it's always good to have a team to laugh at.
Yeah.
They were the Rupert and Laura of this. Rupert, who's Rupert and Laura of this season, right? That season when they're on the Amazing Race, they were just goofballs. They just were clowns and they were terrible. Like, I guess it makes sense. It fits if the shoe fits. But I mean, it's they were just horrendous at the race. They did really bad on pretty much all the tasks and just weren't. They said they reminded me a lot of the dentists from like however many seasons ago that was. Every time they smiled, they put a little gleam on a little glisten on their teeth.
Hurty.
Yeah, and they were just very, they're annoying, and they're professional motivational speakers and life coaches. Like, but I don't want to be like you. And she was crying because she had a sculpt. It's like I'm so motivated right now by you.
So I hate to say it, after people seeing them on there, I don't think they're going to get many additional bookings to do that, especially after you show yourself giving up right away, when the whole time you're telling your partner, telling Rich, you got to manifest it, like it's okay, you can drive the stick shift, you got this, don't put the bad energy out there, and then you get to something and you gave up right away. You can't do that. That is not something you can do if you're a motivational speaker. motivational speaker would be like, I got this, no matter what, I can do this.
Right.
She did not. That was a little embarrassing for them.
Yeah, they were really annoying, and they were just clowns, and I liked laughing at them. So unfortunately, they got eliminated because, not that I wanted them to win or go far, because I was not a fan of theirs at all. But it was funny that they just I liked looking at their hypocrisy and how ridiculous they are.
Plus now, we like most of the teams that are left, or pretty much all of the teams that are left, so you got to find the ones that you don't want to win as much as the others, which we'll find. It'll be fine, but still.
Yeah, for sure.
Why do you think they were eliminated?
They weren't really good at early in the challenges. They were behind from the very beginning. They didn't navigate well. I mean, he'd say, "Which way should I go?" She goes, "Oh, just go the way you feel like going." And it's like, what the frig? There's a goddamn map there. Use the map.
Well, at one point he became driver and navigator.
Yeah. And she was sitting in the back, just like doing the freaking yoga crap or whatever, and like what he was driving and looking at the map and not even looking at the map and just trying to guess which way to go. And it's like, I guess that's what you want to do. That's your plan. They just seemed like there's one thing not take the race serious. There's another thing not try, and they, like you said, they really didn't try. They just were terrible at it. But like, I don't know. It was just such a weird whole race for them, which is weird. They were weird.
I mean, even during the sculpting part, he's like, I'm going to meditate for you. And that's fine. You want to put the good energy out there, but like sometimes you just couldn't take it seriously anymore. Right.
And like I said, they were solely into their ideology. It was like, well, our ideology comes first. Okay, well, how about you just win the race?
Yeah, and it's not to make fun of anybody that, has that lifestyle or believes in that stuff. And, meditation's great for people to center yourself, but you're not really focusing on winning anything in the race if you're just kind of focusing on all that.
Well, right, and she was getting annoyed or people were getting annoyed because somebody's telling them, hey, do this or do that, and they don't want to be, doing that. So he kind of, instead of encouraging her, he just kind of sat down and meditated, which is like,
right.
I guess if you talking is going to bother her, then just shut up. So meditating, I guess, is fine, but.
Or you're hanging out with the other people, though, that are waiting for their teammates. You could kind of hang out with them.
Yeah.
Talk, but, whatever.
Yeah, and the other teammates, I don't know, even know if the people were even gone by the time she got there, it seemed like, but.
They were leaving.
Yeah. So, they just were, it's usually a team loses because they don't pay attention they have no attention to detail, or they don't communicate well. These guys kind of were in the ladder of not communicating well, but they were just oddballs, and they just didn't really, I don't know. They just were not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
And I don't know, they just weren't good at the race.
Yeah, no, they weren't that good at the race.
So I don't really know if there's anything else to say about it. I really don't think there is. I
don't think so.
It's somewhat communication stuff, because they just didn't seem like they seem like they're there just, and they got eliminated on the third anniversary, which is fun.
Right.
But it was probably past midnight by that time they got eliminated, so. Yeah. It probably wasn't anymore. But.
I mean, they basically, the last episode, they just basically gave up. She gave up before they even finished.
Yeah.
She didn't want to do that, or she said she can't do it and gave up. Didn't give up as much. Well, they gave up more, I guess, than the other team, member of another team that wanted to give up. But we'll talk about that very shortly.
Anything else to add?
I think that's it about them.
Yeah. Just, they didn't communicate well. If they did, they didn't, No, they just weren't good at the race. They didn't do a good job. They didn't navigate well. They
just didn't have the knack for the race.
They really didn't have any of the skills they needed.
Yeah.
Which is, a problem.
Yeah, I agree.
What's next?
All right, next we will go through our power rankings. Anything specific you want to mention before we start them?
No, I mean, yeah, it's as always, the power rankings aren't the placement or anything like that. They're not necessarily like, hey, who finished first or last, whatever. I mean, it's kind of like a culmination of all the legs, right? Yeah. So, some of the teams I feel really, really good about are going to be a little lower here than, and the some teams who finished second or third last or second last could be higher than last because they had a bad leg. Bad legs happen.
Yep.
And I mean, I said there's teams who, you're like, yeah, they're way better than this. They were, they got some bad luck and they made up for it, and so they finished lower than they normally would have. But if they don't have bad luck, and every team runs into bad luck, it's how you handle it. So sometimes they might finish fifth, but they're the first best team on our power rankings because they like you said, if you remember, what was it last season? The two guys, they had the couple, the basketball couple, right? They both played basketball, and they're
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and they finished. They were so far behind, and they passed like three teams, and to get back up towards the front of front of the race, and they had a bad luck, but they still did. They were still a strong team,
Right.
So even though they finished lower than they probably should have, they were way behind. They passed like three teams catching up because they just crushed the challenges.
Right.
So that's kind of more what it is. Like, hey, how good is the team? How good are they at attention to detail? How good are they at the challenges? How good do they communicate? And then there's luck that's in there and how they handle that.
Right.
They crack when they get something bad happen, or they overcome the obstacles.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we kind of put them in the power rankings.
Yeah. Perfect. So we'll start with number 9 of the teams remaining. Shriek and Linton.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I was mentioning before, so Shriek was giving up. She didn't want to do it anymore. She was very frustrating to watch with that because, as we've talked about with, I guess younger kids, and since it's a father-daughter team, usually the dad would be the one holding them back, or I guess would be the more annoying one. But she
Or older and they can't handle the challenges, whatever.
Right. So after the detour, or no, the roadblock, she did the sculpting one, and her arms were tired. She didn't want to do anymore. She just kept saying she wanted to go home, and he was pushing her to keep going. And something we didn't mention with the sculpting one is if they kind of did a little too much, they had plaster. They had to fix her sculpture. So she had broken off a piece of the forehead of his, or his hair or something. And she had to fix a lot of pieces and was just frustrated. She didn't want to do it anymore. She wanted to go home. Well, they finished, obviously, before Dom and Rich, and they're still there. But I just feel like I feel like something's just gonna drop. Like, I think he's gonna keep going, but if she keeps kind of dragging them behind, who knows how things could go. If she was actually wanting to do it, maybe they would have did things a little faster for the second part. But
yeah, so they did the food one, didn't they? I think.
Yeah, they did the food.
And they they did it kind of decently, but she was just dragging. She's like, I don't care. Like, can you take this? Sure, I don't care.
Yeah.
I have anxiety. And
I'm not running. I'm tired. Yeah.
I have anxiety, so I don't feel like doing this. Like, okay, a lot of people have anxiety, but like, she's gonna quit. She literally wanted to quit, and they got to the pit stop, and it feels like, you're not the last team to arrive, but do you want to quit?
Right.
And he's like, we don't want to quit, do we? She's like,
I just need to sleep.
Right.
That's what she's like, I just need to lay down or something.
It's like, yeah, okay, lay down and shut up,
Right.
and run the like. You have right now, currently, you have a 1 in 9 shot of winning $1 million.
Right.
So how privileged could you? I'm just saying, how privileged could you possibly be to be like, oh, I have to put a little effort in to maybe win $1 million? It's not worth it.
I know. Well, especially you're getting to travel all over the place and see all this stuff, do all this, have an experience with your father. Like, how special is that? And you're trying to throw it away for your poor father that wants to keep doing it with you. Like, I just felt so bad for him that she's like, I don't want to do this. I'm just tired and cranky. Like, you're not 5 years old. You're not 2. Like, man up. You can pull yourself together and do this for $1 million to be with your dad.
And how is this like? It's like, how difficult must it be? Like, you get to see the world, you get to be on TV, you get to have fun, you get to hang out with your dad, maybe win some money. You're gonna get paid to be on the show either way.
Right.
Like, it's just it's kind of reminding me a little bit of the D'Angelo Williams thing at the end of it. Like, I could pay to go do this. I don't need to do this.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that was different because he had the money to do it.
Right.
But like, for her, it's like, oh, I've put in a little bit of effort into this. I'm tired. I want to go lay down. It's past my bed. I get up. I don't get up before noon, so I had to get up like 7 today. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, you're so damn entitled and privileged. Ugh. Like, just quit then. Honestly, just quit, and you'll regret it forever, and your dad will be pissed. But that's what you want to do. Just do it. Like, it's just, there's so many people who, like, anytime somebody quits on like Survivor, it's like, how many people apply to be on the show, and you get on and you quit?
Right.
Are you kidding? Like, it was just. I said, lost so much respect for her. So much respect for her. Gone.
Plus, the whole thing for me, like, you have anxiety, But you're on TV in front of a camera already. Like, how much if you already have anxiety, like, you did well the first couple episodes, so now you're saying you have anxiety because you have to do one of the tasks. Like, yeah, it is nerve-wracking to do something you've never done, but that's the whole point of the show.
Step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah,
It's
the
basic.
whole point of the show is to do that.
Nobody wants to step outside the comfort zone. They want to just have it easy and relax. It's like, well, life's not easy. Figure it out.
The accomplishment after getting something done is the best part of it, like feeling accomplished.
And
afterwards.
Claire's been failing the whole season, and she's still going.
Yeah.
It annoys me to no end. It's so infuriating. So many people would kill to be on the show, and you're on the show and you just don't care. And it's like, I don't know. Again, it's privilege. It's entitled. It's lack of work ethic. All those things. It's so ridiculous. And hopefully she pulls it together. I get it. You were tired. I get it. You were cranky. But like, shut up and do the race or don't.
Right. Listen, I've been in situations where we went to go watch that game and it was hot. I didn't talk. I still did everything. I didn't really, not to compare it, but like, you just keep going. You just kind of just push through and you'll rest after and whatever.
You walk more that day than she did, I guarantee.
No, I definitely did.
100%. And the thing is, right, like you said, you have all these, you have the opportunity to do something that, a lot of people would dream to do, and you have anxiety. Well, guess what? If you, like, anxiety, like I said, I know anxiety is real. I know there's mental health stuff that's real and blah, blah, blah. But really, pretty much everybody has anxiety. Like, pretty much.
Everybody says they have it, though, most of the time.
Yeah, and people get anxious about things. Like, just grow up.
Yeah.
Like, stop, I'm a victim. I have anxiety. You're not a victim. You just get nervous under pressure. It happens. Just shut up and do it.
Everybody does. Everybody gets nervous under pressure. Everybody gets nervous doing something different. And there are people that don't, but, a lot of people do.
Everybody this generation has anxiety because they're told they have it. Mm-hmm. And so that excuses them to be lazy and stupid. Because I don't want to step outside my comfort zone because I get late, because I'm anxious. I don't want to step outside my comfort zone because I get anxious about it. Okay, right. Well, you're never going to grow if you don't step outside your comfort zone. So go grow up and do the race.
Right.
So they're last on our power ranking, obviously.
Anywho, I think that's probably the group we're going to spend the most time on because it was just a little bit annoying. But
ridiculous.
Hopefully this next episode, I'm sure we're going to hear say she pulled herself together. Everything's good. They're going to keep going. I like Linton a lot. I think they'll do okay, but they're not my winner picks, and they're not really my top 3 to win. No offense against them, but that's just
and it's I like him. And if she pulls herself together, I don't think they're gonna win.
No,
but if she pulls herself together, great. He moved from Jamaica to give her a better life, and she's gone to the show and quit.
Right?
Like, are you kidding? Like what a slap in the face to him. Yep. What a slap in the face.
Yep.
Anyways, moving on.
Yes, let's move on, please. Number 8, your winner pick, Aubrey and David. So, what is your opinion on their position here?
I think it's kind of similar to a lot of most recent seasons. There's a couple group of people, a couple teams at the very top who I feel like have a really good shot. The top like 3 or 4 teams, I think have a really good shot. Everybody else is kind of in the middle there. So I don't really think they're that bad. I can see them going, I can see them really being between 6th and 9th. I wouldn't really say they're necessarily 9th. But they've had some really strong challenges. They've had some really not so great challenges, and they get along well because they are dance partners. Mm-hmm. So they do get along pretty well. So they just haven't had a lot of stuff that's really been to a strength of theirs. If they they had I think one that was kind of a dancing one, which they crushed. But anything like that, the stuff they'll do really well on. But I don't know. I think they're somewhat limited in their skill sets at this point. So I hope that they can pull it together because I do like them. They do communicate really well, and so I think that's a good thing. It's just a matter if they can really do better on the challenges because they haven't really peaked.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're bad. I wouldn't say they're good. They're in the middle of the pack, and we'll see if they keep pulling forward. They just got to start getting ahead of people in order to move forward.
For sure. And so that's really the biggest thing. So some of these, at this point, there's really not one, like last 2 seasons, there's like 2 teams or 3 teams. I thought, okay, they're definitely, one of these 3 teams are winning. It's more 4 or 5 this season, and any of those, I really could see anybody having a really bad leg and getting knocked out. We saw Lumumba and Glenda have a really bad leg. So, and especially with there being no non-eliminations, one really bad leg could really cost you. Sometimes there's been in the past teams who are like, they're definitely going to win this, and they have one bad leg in the 5th leg and they're done. It's like, well, they were the best team. How'd they not win?
Right.
And I could see that happening, with some of our teams here.
Yeah.
But I can also see some of these teams, sticking around, and they're in the final 4 or final 5, like how'd they get there?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right, moving on to number 7, the cheerleaders. I mean, they're kind of similar, I guess. Like there's the bunch of the teams in the middle to me are all the same. They're not terrible. They're not the best, but they're kind of pulling through okay. They work together with actually our next team for, I forget which task it was. I think it was the window of opportunity. They work together to find everything and take it to the position. And I was very happy because my team, who was our next one, got their first to the mat. They said, even though they all jumped on the mat at the same time. But the cheerleaders, they work together for a long time too. Their communication's good. I don't think I've ever seen them get angry or frustrated, and they kind of move along pretty well together.
Yeah, for sure. I can't feel like there's some teams that are like you feel like okay they crush every challenge, they're really good at everything, and there's some teams who are like okay they're fine, they communicate well and they're fine. They seem like there's some teams I guess who seem like superheroes and some teams who seem like people.
Yeah.
And they seem like people.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Slow and steady wins the race kind of people.
Yeah, but it doesn't. But yes, I agree.
I mean, that's what I mean for the middle of the pack.
Sure.
Like, they're not losing, but they're not exactly winning. They're just kind of there winning.
Exactly. Duh. Yeah. So I agree.
All right. I can move on to team number 5. Or 6.
Yeah, 6.
I don't know my numbers, apparently. Does 6 come after 7? Because 7, 8, 9? Yeah, exactly. I know. Yes. So team number 6. Team Miami, which is my team, as I mentioned, they work together with the cheerleaders for the last task, and they've been doing pretty good with things. Like they're pretty good with communication. I feel like they bickered a little bit. Well, they did bicker a little bit with the previous episodes. They've bickered on some of the stuff, cutting the wood and whatnot, but for the most part, they've been good too. I mean, she's a dancer, he's a fireman. Interesting combination. They still did the dancing challenges, but this week they did pretty well. I don't think, like I said, they're kind of middle of the pack. Slow and steady runs the race. They're there, but they're not thriving more than others.
Yeah, to me, the only thing I'll say, to me, they're David. They're like David and Aubrey. The only difference is that the guy's a little bit more ripped.
Yeah.
Luis's name is right. He's a
yeah.
little more ripped.
Yeah.
And so it's like he is not as good on his feet or is good at like the finesse stuff, but he's definitely stronger.
Right.
And I think that helps. I think that's why they're a little bit ahead because if there's something they both have to do like dancing wise, whatever. Obviously, Aubrey and David would do better at that.
Yeah.
But there's something that's like kind of finesse. I think she could do it, and then there's something with more strength he can do it. And so I think they complement each other a little bit better than Aubrey and David. But I think they're exactly the same, other than maybe just that.
Yeah. They have a little bit expanded of a skill set, I guess. Yeah. Also, though, I will say though, with Team Miami, my team, their sense of direction is not the best. So having them in 6 is pretty good for them.
Yeah, and he was having fun. They kind of did the preview for the episode with him saying double the detours, double the roadblocks, mega leg.
Exactly.
So we got to kind of do that. So they're having fun with it too, which is good. I think a lot of these teams are having fun.
Yeah.
And also probably means they don't have the killer instinct that some of the teams need to win. So
yeah, I guess it's gonna start getting down to the nitty gritty though.
For sure. Any of these teams are here I could see going next.
Yeah.
Depending on how things shake out. Because a lot of
them are so evenly matched at this point.
Yeah, and they're chartering flights instead of getting on flights, so it makes it. They're all gonna start at the same spot. There's never gonna be anybody who gets a leg.
They're just starting in 15-minute increments.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
moving on to team number 5. This time, got it right. We call them Team Alabama.
Yeah.
I can't remember their real names though because I didn't write it down.
Abby.
Yes, Abby and Will.
Yeah.
So I've grown to like them a lot. Usually with the younger kids, kind of, but they're I don't know what to say. They're energetic. Like they also don't really get down on anything or really argue or whatnot, and they have a pretty good bond. So it's been fun to watch them.
Yeah, the same way. I feel the same way. So that they usually I really went into this thing thinking they're really gonna annoy me. They're definitely a team that kind of does annoy me. They're fine. They seem to be getting along really well. They seem to be having fun, and they're doing fine in the challenges. They both have skill sets that work. They're somewhat athletic. They're energetic, and they're communicating well. So yeah. I have no real issue with them. They seem like they're decently mature for their age.
Yeah, for sure. So. I like it. All right, moving on to team number 4, Derek and Claire. So they're kind of in the struggle bus sometimes, but they're still up there where I feel comfortable having them up here.
Yeah, they won the first leg, and they finished 4th in the second leg, and this leg they finished 7th. So it's like they've been going downhill quickly,
Yeah.
but I do think they have enough skills to get them at least through. I don't think they're gonna win. I felt good about them, the first leg. I don't really think they're gonna win now. But I do see them at least getting in the top 5.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think so.
I don't think they're gonna be next. I mean, if they
could
continue
be.
their trajectory, they're gonna be last.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're gonna. I think they'll finish in the middle of the pack next week.
Well, I think this time maybe he'll do the detour and or the roadblock.
Yeah, the roadblock. Yeah, because he's done. Because I think there's been 4. I've been 4 roadblocks.
Yeah, but I think she's done most of them so
I
far.
think she's done 2, and there were the 2 they did really bad on.
Well, yeah, she did the yodeling and she did the Ducati, but I don't remember if there was another one.
The one this week and the first week.
So what was the other one?
The one second one.
Chiseled. She did that one too, didn't she? No, he did that
did,
one.
yeah.
He did that
And
one.
they did way
Yep,
better.
Yep.
But like I said, I think it could be. I really, it was kind of like with Victor and Nick, right? Nick and Vic, they had similar, where she was really good at certain things, he was really good at certain things, and if they picked the right one,
Right, they'd be fine.
they'd be good,
Yeah.
right? But if he's doing the, the eat your shoe thing. He did that remember he did he ate 30 freaking shoes, and it was terrible. I bet you
Delicious.
she could have done better at that. But there's certain things
Yeah.
that she was doing, like picking stuff up, and he's freaking ripped. Like
Right.
why is he not doing it?
Yeah.
So I really think they have certain skill sets that would help them. They just have to pick the right one, have the right person do the right task.
They have a special set of skills
Yeah,
to find them
and kill them.
and kill them. Exactly.
She will,
All right.
They will kill the tasks.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
They'll find the location and kill the tasks.
Yes, exactly.
If they pick the right ones.
If they do.
Yes.
Alrighty, moving on. Team number 3, Glenda and Lumba.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel this is a little bit more generous. I know they only had one bad leg, but it was kind of, the double leg was not the best. They made it. It was they ended at team 8, right? I believe.
I think they're right.
It was, they got their 8th. Because then Shriek and Linton got there, and then Team 10 was eliminated.
Yeah.
So, they ended pretty low. That was the lowest they've ever landed on this. So,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they were gonna be last. They were gonna be last. They managed to not be, which is good. But like I said, if Mega Leg, if that was an elimination, they were 10th. They left the second the third episode. They were last at the end. But obviously they had a whole nother episode and a whole nother leg, and they ended up going from last, jumping 2 teams.
Yeah.
So I think, if all things considered, they don't get way behind at the beginning, and everything like that, I think they probably would have been 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
So I think they have the skill sets. I think they're strong. They communicate pretty well. They haven't had any, communication or fighting. So I think they just keep it up. I think they'll be fine. They have enough skills and they're a strong team. They just got to not make big mistakes to put them behind.
Strong side.
Yes, left side.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
So that's why I think they're here. But I think they could be lower. But I think they're stronger than what they did this week.
If they don't do a little bit better this week, I think they'll probably fall a little
For sure.
bit more.
For
But
sure.
yeah, agreed. All right. Next, number 2. So 2 and 1 for me. I'm a little bit maybe flip-flop with this one, but I'm fine with kind of either way. So number 2, we have Molly and Emily, who's probably been my favorite team to watch. I like mostly everybody on here, but I love it. I love their story. I love seeing them get along so well. It's just great. They're so good at everything, basically. They've done so well. And each person, has a different skill set, because the one's I put stuff together for my kid all the time, she's a single mom, it's well, she's good at all this stuff too, and then the other one's good at the opposite, so they become perfect pair.
I'm shocked how good they're doing. Like you said, I mean the one, and they've lived separate lives, so they learn things from their family that they can do in their lifestyle, and the other one learned this from their lifestyle, and 35 years of love life,
Right.
I mean it's crazy.
Yeah.
They won this leg, so that's awesome on them. They get to travel a little bit, some Travelocity stuff.
Yeah, so that was their birthday for next year, their birthday trip. Yeah.
I guess Expedia is the thing now, not Travelocity anymore, whatever.
Yeah.
It said so they won the leg, so that's great. They're doing well, and like I said before, regardless of what happens in this, I want CBS or somebody to pay them to travel and just have adventures together.
Right.
Because they are just so fun to
have a
have
show
on TV.
Yeah.
They're
good.
like you said, everything you said is right. All of them experiencing new things and hanging out and getting to know each other while they're getting to see different parts of the world. And if there's no competition to it, it might be even more fun.
Right.
Because they can actually slow down and do that stuff.
Not rush through things.
Not rush through. But they're doing well in the challenges too. It's just they kind of seem like, okay, that'd be cool. That'd be a nice story. We'll probably be out 4th or 5th.
Right.
They're doing so well.
Yeah, no. They're gonna make it probably pretty far into the end. I think I could see them being top 3.
I can see them winning.
Yeah, me too.
Mean, I wouldn't think I would say that, going to it. I never thought they would. I really didn't give them a second thought.
Right.
But
yeah,
they're doing well.
Yeah, they are. Alrighty, we'll move on to our number 1 team. So lastly, obviously, we have Michael and Marcus, the brothers. So they've been doing pretty well too, and I kind of thought maybe they'd butt heads a little bit more, but for the most part, they've kind of been okay. Not to say they haven't butt heads, but they're doing well. It's them and then the twins that are basically just neck and neck half the time, getting to everything and completing tasks.
Which again, going into it, I wouldn't have thought that necessarily would have been the case. I kind of, some of the other teams I thought would be really strong. I didn't really think it would be them. I really think they'd be doing, but I said and they're obviously number 1, and they're a top team of power rankings. They're doing so well in the challenges. I can see a major blow up coming. I can see it.
Probably.
I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't cost them a race.
Yeah, I know. Well, as I said, they've had some disagreements and stuff, especially when they're doing the bells, last 2 episodes or whatnot. But they pick themselves back up and pull themselves together and just keep going. And it's, it's definitely conflicting. I don't want to say personalities, but I mean, they're both military. So they run a little hot, I would say.
Oh, for sure. And they're definitely type A, and the older one's definitely, I think 8 years older. Yeah. So he definitely tells the other one what to do, and the other one's like, does it, but also doesn't like it sometimes.
Yeah.
I think I've told the joke before with another team. One of them drives the tank.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is the tank.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And and I mean they're so huge. They're so strong, good at challenges. I said if there's a task where they have to dance or sing, they have to choose between dancing or singing. I want to see what happens. I guess that's the episode where the blow up happens and maybe they fall apart.
Well, I mean, Marcus made it through the yodeling.
It's true.
So
it's true.
They did fine.
So we'll see what happens. I think it'll be. I'm interested to see how they do. I said I could see them if the only way they don't go really really far, maybe get to even to the end or the finale, is if they implode.
Yeah.
Because they have everything else they need.
Yeah.
They have all the other discipline, the strength, the ability to communicate, everything they need to win. The only thing that's going to stop them is if they implode.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Hopefully they don't, because they're a super strong team.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't think so. I'm trying to think, but I think we got it all out there.
Yeah, I think we did good. It was longer than we normally did, but it was a double episode, so what can we do?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, be sure to subscribe. So you don't miss anything. Obviously, we'll have our Survivor episode next week. We'll have Amazing Race next week. We'll see about it's kind of been working the way we've been doing it. Maybe we'll try to get a guest on or whatever at some point for.
He doesn't want me on anymore.
Oh, I definitely do. I know you don't love it. I don't want to make you have to commit to it. So
it's a part of the routine at this point on Wednesdays.
Yeah, I know. Well, be sure to subscribe so you get everything when we do get it out. You can get it right away. You can like our page on Facebook, Paper Mill Productions on Facebook. You can email the show directly, papermillproductions@gmail.com. Share the post, tell your friends, subscribe right there on the YouTube channel. And let us know what you think. Tell us how you think, give us your opinion, and we'll go from there.
Mm-hmm. I like compliments, so tell me how wonderful I am.
Yep, Jessica got her hair done. She looks really nice.
I got my hair done, all ready to party. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, we don't party.
No, we don't party.
All right. So amazing. If we go on the Amazing Race together, we will not party. We will not bungee jump or skydive.
That'll be you.
No, it won't be me.
I will do the singing and all that stuff, and you do that stuff.
I'll do the picking stuff up, putting it down stuff. I'm not doing anything jumping out of any planes.
Oh, no, you jump.
Oh, no.
Oh, you jump. I'll push you.
I know you would. And then you're like, oh, here's your parachute, by the way. I'm falling.
No. It's for $1 million. Then I push you off the ledge on the bungee cord.
Yeah. I might actually have to die. Yeah.
Stop.
So yeah,
I'll do all the cheese making because I made it once before, so of course I can do it.
Exactly.
We haven't heard that yet this season, so we'll see.
Maybe they're either editing that out or people learning their lessons. We'll see.
Yeah.
Be sure to subscribe, like I said. We'll have the Survivor one out. We'll have the Amazing Race ones out. We'll try to get them out within a day or so of them airing. I mean, we're doing pretty well with the Survivor ones, keep them pretty tidy. So we'll see. Unless I get really annoyed by a team like I did this week, won't go as long, or if a person really annoys me on Survivor.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of the show. It says subscribe so you don't miss anything. And anything else, Jessica?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll have you back next week for both episodes again. I think it was good.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
All right.
Until next time, safe travels.